Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Merman Master coming at you guys again from the Team Time Riders Yuki Tube channel with another video on my Elemental Hero deck profile. Today is going to be kind of a little discussion video with some of the stuff that I'm focusing on the deck for now. As you guys know, with the recent Master Rule, with the recent ban list, we got back both Monster Reborn and Solemn Judgment. And both of them have sort of taken a center role in the deck. As you guys know, Jaden used both of these cards in various duels. He actually only used the Solemn Judgment once. However, he used Monster Reborn several times to bring back many different monsters to the field. And I wanted to do my best to incorporate Monster Reborn and Solemn Judgment into the deck. After doing that, however, and playing a couple of more competitive-based duels, I've been starting to think about, what kind of ratios we have in the deck, specific shuffle feels, and, other stuff like that. So let me get into it to start with at first. Adding things in like Monster Reborn and Solemn Judgment are no-brainers, especially if you're going for a character-focused deck. However, one of the things that I noticed was, with the recent change of even like the casual decks getting a little bit more competitive, a lot of the times, monsters and by proxy spells and traps you have on your field will not really remain until the next turns. The deck right now is at 44 cards, and, the basic idea of the deck is that you want to be able to spit like 2 or 3 like 3-card combos out. Most of your fusions require 2 cards as well as 3 of the other, one polymerization. And lately what I've been noticing is, I've wanted to rely a little bit more on the crutch that is the Omni Heroes, especially in duels where I'm not getting, the correct combination of cards to my hand. I started running, like other stuff, like for instance, UFO Roid and Honesty Neos, and things that really help to facilitate the deck, but some of my ratios are feeling a little bit off. The first thing that I went to try and figure out what was up with that was, of course, the sleeves. As you guys know, these are new sleeves that I have on the deck, and they've been pretty good, and one of the favorite things that I do like about them is a good shuffle feel as well as nice images of the cards. And I don't think through any fault of the sleeves themselves, they do get a little bit scuffed up easily, but the most important kind of thing that I've noticed is that a lot of cards sort of clump together, and I'll get like, my polymerizations clumping together. My miracle fusions are clumping together again, which is a little bit of an issue for me. And I thought getting 2 more first edition ultimates would change that, which I did do. I did update the deck so that all 3 of my miracle fusions are first ed ultimate rare. But I noticed, like there's a little bit more kind of, I don't want to call it straight up stacking, but that certain cards are sticking around other cards, and I'm not getting the kind of diverse hands that I used to get when I was having a little bit more of that diverse feel. And in response to that, I've been trying to think about ways, it'll take me like maybe 1 or 2 turns to assemble a decent hand that I can spit out a bunch of heroes on the board. But with Master Rule 4 and with lots of other casual decks really starting to speed up now, I don't want to sort of get lost in the fray. And while not making the deck turn into like the type of hero deck that you see everywhere, I still want to have the deck evolve in different ways, but I'm not really sure sort of what avenues I should take to make that happen. And I started to notice it, getting back to the whole Monster Reborn and Solemn Judgment argument. If you take a look right here, you can notice that I am using high rarity copies of the cards, but the list did catch me unaware, so I only have unlimiteds for now. I am working very hard on trying to find first editions for each of these, but it is tougher than you might expect to track down such cards as these, especially when, when a list just strikes and anyone is trying to pick these up. But, these cards kind of have like a little bit of warp to them. Specifically, it's more pronounced on the Monster Reborn itself. I don't know if I can take this out right now to show you guys, but that, sometimes they have like the little kind of subtle, very subtle kind of bend. And that, makes them sort of stand out in the deck and makes the deck like a little bit fatter, or certain cards like stick together with other ones. Contrast that with like an ultimate such as like Future Fusion or Miracle Fusion, And you have a recipe for sort of that same kind of stuff going on. That the card is not quite, it goes to your hand more often than not, or, might just stick in your deck for a while. And I often see many hands with like Solemn Judgments and Monster Reborns and Mirror Forces, which I had in there like basically for defense kind of procedures, but that it's been coming to my hand with, like a Neos that I can't really use unless I have like a Necroshade in my graveyard, or if I already have a hero, and I'll get like, 2 Mirror Forces, a Solemn Judgment, a Neos and a Skyscraper, which would be like a pretty ideal first turn play. But going back to the point that I mentioned, with people just really knowing how to pop all your stuff and having like backgrounds. Like, a Solemn Judgment is no longer like the be-all, end-all play for some decks, like especially like, pendulum strategies and other types of things. That, Solemn Judgment is now, it's a great card. It's a fantastic card, but, it does have like a little bit of age, and also, it doesn't have the ability to go after monster effects in the same way that it does spell and trap, so that's another thing. But it's a lot of stuff that happens. People have told me like to take out Mirror Forces, for instance, from the deck, and yeah, I kind of see where they're coming from. But I did have the two those 2 hero cards. I had the Hero Barrier and the Mirror Gate beforehand, which both are battle-based traps. And I'm trying to think, like, what kind of other stuff does he run? Like, it'd be easy for me to throw in Drownings and Floodgates and different things like that in this deck, and kind of like adjust and modulate those problems and make my deck actually somewhat more competitive than it is now. Like, that's kind of like an easy fix, and I don't really want to rely on that if there's something that I can use that's within the whole Jaden idea. And so I've been thinking about, and you guys can tell me whether or not this is a good idea, but I've been thinking about like taking out certain things. One of the cards that I'm drawing so often was like actually one of the fun cards that I put in here. And that is, of course, guys, without any doubt, the UFO Roid. And, in the deck, he was actually stuck right next to the Blade Edge, which is kind of, it's a good thing, but it's still something that happens. And, I really wanted to like draw my Miracle Fusion. I run 3 Miracle Fusions and one of these dudes, and I'm always seeing this dude in my hand. And it's like fun to throw out the UFO Roid, but I'm, lately I've found like, people, it can be stopped by a lot of things. Like, even in casual decks, like a skill drain, or like some kind of, like a bottomless trap hole can put it out of commission. A solemn, whatever can put it out of commission. Whatever it ends up being, like UFO Roid was always just a fun card, but like a lot of times, I'm seeing my little buddy way too much ever since I went to the ulti. And like if I saw him maybe like 50% of the time, like I'd be a little bit more happy. But it's funny, I even switched sleeves with one of my Miracle Fusions to just see if it was the sleeve itself that was causing the issue. But it ended up just, nothing really changed, and it's, I keep seeing that card in my hand. So I thought about possibly taking that out, and then the other card that I wanted to take out was the other one that I showed you here, which is that Future Fusion. Future Fusion, while I love the card, the errata really took it for a turn. And, time and again, I'm seeing this MST, Cosmic Cyclone. Like, people are just taking this card out, and every time I see it in my hand, I know that it's kind of a straight minus for the turn. If I manage to get the effect, like, it's going to be a huge payoff, of course. Very big. Get your Shadow Mist to the graveyard. But at least for now, like, the Future Fusion itself, Konami really did it dirty. Like, I understand to make it fairer and, so people could run it in Infernoids and whatnot, but, like, the whole errata game has got to stop. This was one of the very first, it was the very first rare I ever pulled, and this ulti I got out of a tin, which is why, if I'm playing ulti Future Fusion, I will always have the Unlimited over the first ed, just because, pulling this card meant a lot to me. And I don't really feel that beneficial about like what both of these have in terms of like right now. So, it's just a small fix, and it was just like, a fun thing. But for instance, adding in one more polymerization, which I said I might never do, and then adding in another of the King of the Swamp, which a lot of hero players already do, adding in those King of the Swamps, are options that I'm definitely considering moving forward. One of the things that I've noticed as well is like I'm going through my polymerizations like crazy. And most of the times, like before, like 2 was enough to really, 2 was like the perfect number. But now I feel like the perfect number is like 2.5, where it's not quite 3 polymerizations, but 2 is not enough in some of these scenarios. Like it sucks when you draw multiple polymerizations without any heroes to fuse, but it's still, it's still something that I'm considering. So between removing cards that don't have like general use, or like either general use by themselves, they're fun cards, to, also taking out possibly like future fusion just to test out and see, whether or not it's an issue with speed, is one of the other things that I'd like to focus on. And, that combined with like Monster Reborn and Solemn Judgment, which do make themselves kind of known and a little bit stackable. Like I might want to find like other copies of these, like maybe the Lost Art promo. I can just toss one of those in here. Similar like max rarity, and I don't have to worry about finding a first ed LOB. But what I really want to keep, guys, like the bottom line here is that, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh is evolving, particularly like casual Yu-Gi-Oh, and the game has gotten even faster, so that, even with this hero deck being like its maximum capability to conquer different things in, a casual metagame, that casual metagame is starting to speed up and really approach like our competitive metagames from like 1 or 2 years ago. The decks, and that's like a speed that's a little bit faster than I can travel with this deck. Yes, there's the simple fixes, but I don't really want to go down that route if I don't have to. So, I want to ask you guys' opinion. Should I try and like, update the deck and try and put all sorts of other manners of cards in there, like, take away like, the other cards to make the deck more competitive, like maybe more trap cards and different stuff like that? Or do you guys want to see me keep the Jaden allure that the deck sort of has, with all of his cards right down to the 2 Mirror Force that he ran in that one duel, as well as a Solemn Judgment that he used against that Jinzo character? All of that stuff that really caused me to make this deck in the first place. I'm very curious to hear what you guys' opinions on that are. So, tell me what should happen, and if you want me to keep the deck the same, what do you think I should add in here? What do you think, like, the deck is missing? Maybe, like, chainable spell or trap cards or something like that. And, let's see what we can do to try and take this deck to the next level. But, yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I apologize again if I rambled a little bit on this, but it's just something that I really wanted to get off my chest in regards to this hero deck, and I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, or at least got something from it. If you have any suggestions, of course, please let me know in the comments section below, and I'd love to hear them. But for now, this has been the Mermail Master with the Team Time Riders YouTube channel, and I'm signing out. Catch you guys next time. Peace.